Well, hello and welcome. It's Michelle Elmas Hardy, founder of Dynamic Business Women, and today I'm really excited to be able to introduce to you Katrina Pollard. Katrina is the founder and director of CP Communication, one of Australia's most respected PR and social media agencies, and she's also the author of the newly published book From Unknown to Expert. Having started her business with nothing, not even a computer, in her sunroom, she had to figure out how she could become a well-recognised expert in PR to drive sales to her fledgling business. Katrina is now a highly regarded expert, international speaker and media commentator in PR and social media. She is passionate about social media, public relations, business, and bringing them all together to create that real financial success for entrepreneurs and organisations. Unknown to Expert 5-star Sisson book has been used by thousands of people to become highly paid and sought after experts and thought leaders. Katrina is going to be talking to us today about how to use clever PR and social media to become a recognised expert. Public relations and social media can be the difference between being a well-recognised expert and thought leader in your niche to just wishing that you were there. Katrina will provide a step-by-step framework that will help new business owners establish themselves and their business in the market and provide the necessary tools to become a recognised expert.
So Katrina, welcome to Dynamic Business Women and congratulations on your new book.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
I'm very excited for you to be able to share your knowledge and expertise with our audience today. So I'm just going to let you go ahead and get started and hand it over to you.
So today I'm going to be talking about how to use clever PR and social media to become a recognised expert. Public relations and social media can be the difference between being a well-recognised expert and thought leader in your niche and just wishing you are. So public relations is the art of storytelling. Every person, brand and organisation has stories to tell, and amazing stories deserve audiences. Our stories can be personal stories, professional stories, stories that let people know who we are, what we stand for, and what we do. And when we start telling our stories, they start resonating with people. And those people can start developing relationships with us and start influencing and amplifying our roles as experts and thought leaders. So, what's in it for you? Public relations and social media enhance your profile, reputation, and credibility. When you are a well-recognized expert in your field, your target audience, key organizations, and media take notice of you. And you know what happens when people take notice of you? Increased sales, more paid speaking opportunities, more referrals, doors start opening, and new opportunities you never even dreamed of start falling into your lap. So how does it work? Every expert has so many stories to tell that will interest influencers and the media. The trick is to identify your stories and see them through the eyes of the editors and the program directors. When packaged in a way that the media expects, you have a much better chance of getting the media coverage you need to promote yourself and your business. So anything from an innovation, a new book, a childhood memory, something that you do in your day, something your business has achieved, has news potential if it's packaged correctly. And it has absolutely no news value if it isn't released to the media at all or isn't shared online at all. So now let's talk about how you can build your profile and become a recognized expert using PR and social media. As I mentioned, there are three main reasons for doing PR and social media. They are to build your profile, build your reputation, and build your credibility. And some other key things is with editorial, it has a credibility factor. So when a journalist is writing about you, it serves as a third-party endorsement, which obviously builds your reputation. And also, becoming known as an expert and a trusted source of information opens doors like you just wouldn't even believe. So the reason why is obvious. The more people that know about you, the more chances you have of landing a new business opportunity. And reputation is critical, particularly in social media. And we want a bucket load of it to work effectively for you. It's also about trust. Like, we know that people do business with people and brands that they trust. So when you become known as an expert in the media, it's your name and company and job title that are published for people in your industry and the general public to see. This helps with your credibility, and journalists will start calling you when they need an expert. If you're looking to grow your business, it makes sense that if you are featured in the media or have an amazing social media presence, you will have more of a chance of achieving your goals compared to the person that, isn't well known. With a high profile, people will start to believe that you are an expert, they will trust you, and your reputation will start opening doors. So, let's talk about some PR tactics. So the first I want to talk about is media releases and media pitches. So media releases are probably what you know about PR and dealing with the media. They're the most traditional form of a PR tactic. When they're written, it's when you have something to say. So it has to be when you want a whole bunch of media to know about the same thing at the same time. And so it's only a specific time that you would use a media release. The other tactic, which I absolutely love and I use the most, is called a media pitch. It refers to a story idea which you pitch to a journalist in the hope of securing a media interview. So come up with story ideas and think about interesting things that you are doing or topics within your area of expertise that you can actually package into a story angle and pitch to a journalist. To do this effectively, you really need to be reading the media that you want to be featured in. And you need to take a really, really tailored approach and only pitch really relevant stories to relevant publications. So, some story ideas. What's going on in the news in the moment that you can add comment to? Find some stats. The media loves stats, so you can do your own survey or you can piggyback off another survey. Think about some human interest stories. This refers to your personal story. Ask yourself, what was the inspiration behind starting your business? Have you swapped careers? Do you have expertise in how mums can get back into the workforce? Have you had trials and tribulations in growing your business? So what is the human element to your story? Journalists love to know that. Another is referencing trends. So are customers or clients asking the same question? A trend might be emerging that you can tie into and make comment on to targeted journalists or bloggers. And have a look at evergreen stories. So evergreen are stories that come around every year no matter what. Tax time, New Year's Eve, Valentine's Day. Say, for example, New Year's Eve, I always write a story and always do a pitch around New Year's resolutions for businesses. And of course, I'll always add one of those resolutions is going to be about PR and social media. And it's a nice little twist on a New Year's resolution. So it's also worth noting that you need to be available for opportunities. So if you want media, you have to be accessible to journalists, and the more chance they'll contact you when they're looking for an expert in your field. So if you keep on saying no, or I'm too busy, or I can't be bothered, they're going to stop calling you. So by simply saying yes a bit more, PR will really begin to work for you. So the next tactic is contributed articles, which is so critical now in our content-rich news sites. So writing articles and contributing them to publications, both online and in print, is an absolutely brilliant way of building your profile and positioning you as an expert. An article usually gives you at least an entire page dedicated to your topic, so it's just amazing media coverage. So a few things to think about. Write on topics in your area of expertise. So for example, I always write about social media and PR, such as how to write media releases, whether CEOs should be using social media, how to create LinkedIn groups, you name it, I write about it. But I only write about things that relate to PR and social media. I never go off topic because I'm building my role and the reputation as an expert in PR and social media. Try writing something instructive, like a how-to article or the top 5 tips on how to do something that relates to your industry. Usually the best articles are written in third person, so they're not, I have done this or I have done that. Your article absolutely cannot be promotional in any way. You're sharing great content. You're not promoting your business. Remember, use subheadings so it's easy to read. Send it to a publication your target audience reads. There's no point in sending it to a publication where you're not going to be building your reputation with people that matter. Remember, you're not a freelance journalist, so you're not going to get paid for it, but the deal is you get your bio and your contact information at the bottom of it. So you are going to be hopefully getting some calls or some referrals from it. And there are so many online magazines and publications and blogs now that are just absolutely crying out for amazing content. So research which are the most relevant for your industry and pitch your articles to them. And the final thing I want to talk about with PR tactics is something that a lot of people just don't want to do and shy away from, which I totally understand. But speaking engagements are an absolutely amazing way of building your role as an expert, because it positions you as an expert in your industry because you are the person on that stage. And it is actually a really cost-effective way of reaching a really large and influential audience. So write your speaker's profile, research industry groups and conferences, and pitch in via email. And in my book, From Unknown to Expert, I go into a whole heap of detail, and I have actually printed my speaker's profile in the book so that you can just take it and use it for how you need to use it. So don't forget all of the publicity that goes along with a speaking gig, the credibility, the sharing that you're speaking at an event, and then all of the media that goes with that. So now let's talk about some social media. So social media is another critical component to include in your strategy of moving into that influencer and recognized expert space. Social media, from my perspective, is a set of conversations, connections, and sharing of information. Social media is an essential part of getting your messages directly to your intended audiences, unfiltered by anyone else, including the media. We originally had to only pitch our stories to journalists. They were the gatekeepers of our messages and our company news, and whether we were being perceived as experts. Now, we can own the media landscape from a social media perspective, which is fantastic for us. So social media is all about relationships. With social media, you are developing credible relationships with huge numbers of people directly. And often they feel like this relationship is one-on-one, even though it might be 1 to thousands. So, my gosh, there are so many social networks available now. Like, where do you start? Do you do all of them? Do you do one of them? Do you go, oh my gosh, it's just too hard, I can't even do any of it? So you need to really do some thinking around which social networks you should be using. The key thing you need to do is find out where your target audience are on social media and join them there. So what platforms do you enjoy using? If you hate Twitter, for example, then don't make yourself do it. You've got to actually enjoy the process, but you also need to understand with social media, some platforms take a while to get to understand. It's the language and the frequency of them, so give yourself the opportunity to get to know them. So I'm going to focus on a few key ones today. The first I'm going to be talking about is LinkedIn. So LinkedIn has changed a lot in the last year or so. It's not a resume site anymore. It's so much more than that. And it's especially for businesses and professionals. The more connections that you have, the more networked you are, and the more people that you can connect with. So don't be afraid of really actively building your connections on LinkedIn. It's not like Facebook where you have to know the person. It's more like Twitter, where the more that you can connect with people, the better. Because you have first and second and third degree connections. The more first degree connections you have, the more second degree connections you can get, the more people you can do business with and you can build relationships with. It is an amazing platform to build your role as a thought leader and an expert. I regularly share links to relevant articles, provide comments, and I just showcase my expertise every single day on LinkedIn, and it's made an absolutely massive difference to my role as a thought leader. So, how should you use LinkedIn? So if you logged in like 2 years ago and you haven't been back, then I would probably suggest you go back. So really update your profile. Like it's a stat is that 40%, a completed profile is 40% more likely to be shown up in search results. So really go in and spend some time making sure that your photo is a professional photo, that your title is a correct title. It doesn't just have to be that I don't have just CEO of CP Communications. I've got that I'm a public relations and social media specialist, I'm a blogger, and I'm a trainer, and I'm an author. So don't just stick to one thing. Think about the things that you do. Make sure that you add your contact details so people can get in contact with you if they need to. And really build your connections. I believe that you should, all of my clients that I help with their strategy with LinkedIn, we really aim for having over 1,000 connections, because I feel like that, to me, is a tipping point. Share amazing content. So this might include sharing links to interesting articles, posting open-ended questions, or posting about a presentation or conference you're attending or you're speaking at. And you can share other people's content. So you would find that you're reading interesting content every day as a part of your business anyway. So you don't have to do any extra work. When you're reading that interesting content, add it to your LinkedIn status update and share something interesting about that content, what you found interesting, like just 50 words, and it makes a huge difference because what you're doing is sharing interesting content. I have found that images work exceptionally well on LinkedIn as well, and that's probably only been the last few months, and so I always share an image when I share content now, and the engagement is significantly higher when I share an image. So join some groups, post some discussions, add recommendations and get recommendations. With recommendations, they demonstrate that you're trusted and reliable. So do go out and give them to people and get them from people. And make sure that if you're getting media coverage, you add that to the publications section on your profile. And you might also want to think about following some companies you're interested in working with and seeing their status updates, because you never know what that information may help you in terms of being able to do business with them. So LinkedIn is fantastic. So the next I want to talk about is blogging. So simply, if you don't have a blog, start one. It's as simple as that. I have been blogging for 8 years now, I think it is, right at the very, very beginning when blogging was actually called weblogs, and not many people were doing it. So I, my entire 8 years of the work that I've been doing is on my blog, Public Relations Sydney. So they're amazing. So out of all of the social media channels, it's absolutely my favorite. And my opinion, Blogging is absolutely the best way of demonstrating your expertise online and really controlling your messages and building your reputation. So how can you use blogging to your advantage? So write a blog on your area of expertise and stay on topic. Your blog becomes a series of stories that demonstrate your product, your skill, or your service over a period of time. It's really critical that you choose your area of expertise and you stick to it. So don't write about something that relates nothing to your area of expertise, because what you're doing is you're diluting your brand. You want people to immediately associate your name with the area that you want to be known as an expert in. So become a guest blogger on news style blogs. I have used this tactic, amazingly successful over the last couple of years, and just recently I was accepted as a blogger on Huffington Post, so now I have this global amazing reach. So guest blogging is really amazingly powerful. So your blog is the central channel. So by treating it this way, you can dedicate enough time and energy to it. There's nothing worse than a blog which hasn't been updated in months. So I suggest that you blog at least once a week and start thinking about feeding it into other sites, which is what I mean that it's your central channel. You own that content. The content that you put on Facebook and Twitter, they own. So with your blog, you absolutely own it. So you're the editor of your magazine, and then you can write about the things that are important to you, and then feed it out into the other sites to cross-link it with your website. You might even want to add it to your website. Every time you post, share it via your social media channels, and that really amplifies your readership. Like we do an audit on, I have 5 blogs, so we do an audit on each of my blogs, and we can really see where we're getting our traffic from. And a lot of our traffic comes from LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook because we're sharing it on those platforms. So critically, your content must be relevant to your target audience and your platform. While a blog is a great place to reveal your personality, you need to ensure that the content relates to the people who are going to influence your personal brand. Now, the next is Twitter. So Twitter is storytelling in 140 characters. It's a platform to build your expertise and provide personality to your brand. I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with Twitter. I kind of got off Twitter for a while, and now I've started liking it again, and I think that happened with a few people because it just got so busy. When I first started on Twitter, right at the very, very beginning, there was a handful of people that were on Twitter that we ended up building really amazing human, in real life connections with, and I still do business with them. We still catch up. But as Twitter grew, it lost a little bit of its humanity, I think, and it's a little bit of its connection. But I've started getting back onto it now, and I actually really do feel like there's a lot of power in Twitter when you've got the right strategy. So Twitter opens up opportunities for communication and customer service, as well as attracting new customers. The key to making Twitter successful is to think about it strategically. So decide what your business wants to communicate and then stay on topic. I have 2 Twitter accounts. So I have Katrina Pollard, which is my personal Twitter, which is professional as well as personal. And then I have my company Twitter, which is CPC PR, and that's purely professional. We might be sharing, you know, a few happy dances or a few cupcakes or a few champagne drinking in the office, but, you know, 90% of it is professional, sharing interesting content. So have a think about whether you want personal or professional, or whether you want to do both. Obviously, if you do both, it's double the content that you need to produce. So a few tips with Twitter. So it's a conversation. It's not promotional. It's kind of like if you walk into a room full of people that you've never met before, and you stand in the center of the room and you go, This is my name. I'm fabulous. This is my business. Do business with me. Like, no one is going to talk to you and they're going to say, look, I don't have time for you. Exactly the same thing happens on Twitter. It's a conversation. Get to know people, introduce yourself, share great content. It's not about saying how fabulous you are. I think that it needs to be professional as well as personal. So, you might want to do the 80-20 rule where 20% of it is personal and 80% is professional. It's an opportunity to show your personality. The next is to tweet interesting articles in your area of expertise. So I suggest that you tweet around 4 times a day. And you can do scheduling. We use Buffer, and it makes a huge difference because we schedule a lot of our posts. And don't forget, you can use Bitly, bit.ly, where you can shorten your URL, the URL of the post that you're sharing, which means that you can actually see how many clicks you've got on it as well, which is great. Ask open-ended questions to start conversations, and be really, really, really generous with your retweets and your replies, particularly when you're building your followers. Find the influencers that can influence your personal brand and start retweeting them, start replying to them, start having conversations with them. I love it when people do that with me. It's so amazing to start making connections with people who have read my book or come and heard me speak or read my blog, and they comment on things. It's just so amazing. And I start following them and I start having conversations with them, and then I can start influencing their personal brand because they've reached out to me. So actively share other people's information. And know that you're participating and contributing to a community. It's not just about you. Now let's talk about Facebook. So it's a great place to create community and engage with them by posting videos, photos, company news, promotions and discounts, and by starting discussions. Really use Facebook as an extension of marketing. You can be a lot more promotional in Facebook than you can be in Twitter and blogging, because essentially people have opted in. They've liked your page, so it's kind of like they're saying, yeah, send me some information, put some information on my timeline. So you can be a little bit promotional, but you have to enhance their lives in some way. So think about your company Facebook page kind of like a magazine, and your fans are your readers. So your fans like your page because they have an interest in what you do. So expand on that. You sell clothes, your readers have an interest in fashion. You have a restaurant, they have an interest in food. You own a hotel, they will have an interest in travel and local tourism. So share information in those areas. So really remember with Facebook, they've changed their algorithm. So if you're going to have a company page, you have to pay to play now, which means you have to put budget towards sponsoring some of your posts or sponsoring likes on your page. If you're going to start a company page and not put money towards it, it's going to be very, very, very difficult to create likes and get engagement, because they're simply not putting posts on timelines unless there's money behind it. So remember, on Facebook, rise above the clutter. It's a good page needs to be engaging, updated, and rewarding. Really focus on engagement. So ask questions, ask opinions, get fans' recommendations. And what we do is, like, we have set days for our Facebook so that we have a little bit of a strategy going on. Well, everything we do is strategic. So, but what we're doing with Facebook is, say for example, we have Gorgeous Tuesdays, which we always share a gorgeous animal or something really cute. Fridays, we have Fun Fridays, where we just share some, random funny video or music clip or something. And it's really those posts that get the most engagement because they're fun. So don't forget to make sure that you have a look at Facebook Insights, because the Insights section on your company page will really give you some stats around which posts are getting the most engagement, whether your engagement is going up or down, who's looking at it, what time they're looking at it, where they're looking. So really have a look at your Insights section. So I really want to share these tips with you. So make the time to create your personal brand. So when you're going on Facebook and social media and you're building your role as an expert, you really do need to think about what your personal brand is, like who you are, what you stand for, why people would do business with you, and the words that you use to describe yourself so other people can actually start talking about you. And that's what you really want. Do things for free. So you don't have to get paid to do a speaking. You know, I have done speaking gigs for scones. I am not kidding you. I'm a country girl, and when the CWA asked me to come and speak at their annual conference, they had no money, but it was like, you know what, you make me some scones, I will come and speak. So I did, and it was such an amazing, it was so fantastic. So I have done so much stuff for free. And the thing about doing things for free is that you're creating community, and you're contributing to your industry, and you can contributing to the people around you who will influence your personal brand as an expert. So don't always think it's about the money. Say yes more than no. So this year I have spoken in Austin with Michael Dell for this exclusive conference. I have spoken at TEDx, and everything, all of that happened because I've said yes to every single speaking opportunity that came my way for the last like 2 or 3 years. I say yes when journalists call and say, can you interview me? I figure out what blocks I have and think about, well, where am I saying no when I really, really should be saying yes? So really do some thinking around that. Where in your life, where in your business life that can you say yes rather than no? Be a giver and be authentic. Always be authentic. Be true to yourself and know that who you are is enough and what you know is enough. So get out there and start sharing it. Make connections and connect with people. So it's not necessarily you going out and creating connections. It's really thinking about how you can be the connector as well in social media as well as in real life. Be consistent. Be who you are in real life as you are online. So don't try and change your personality for social media. Just be who you are. Absolutely back yourself and stand in your power. And the first chapter of my book is all about how you need to step into that power and step into the spotlight and the work that you can do, the foundation work that you can do for that. And finally, start telling your stories. People want to hear them. We all have stories that we have that when shared, help other people. We've got experiences and we have expertise that we have developed along the way in our lives and our careers that absolutely should be shared because others will benefit from them. So it's not so much about you standing there and going, oh my gosh, I've got a story to tell, I'm not sure whether it's good enough. It's actually about the people who are hearing the words and hearing the stories and how those stories can impact their lives and their businesses. So who are you not to start telling your stories? Who are you not to start building your role as an expert and an influencer in your industry? So I just wanted to share with you that this is just a very short insight into my book. I go into so much more detail in my book, From Unknown to Expert, and it's all about taking action, and it's all about how you can authentically and truly build your role as a thought leader in your industry and how that will lead to sales and will mean that the world is a better place because you're sharing your stories. And if you are really serious about it, you can get my acceleration pack, which is just are so many real life examples of media releases, media pitches, like 11 templates of how to do your speaker's profile, how to pitch to journalists, and I've also included a Rolodex of a whole bunch of bloggers and the media that I pitch to every single day. So jump on unknowntoexpert.com and start taking action, because now is the time to stop thinking about becoming a recognized expert. It's now time to start taking some action. So here is a whole bunch of places you can connect with me. So unknowntoexpert.com. My personal blog is katrinapollard.com.au. Love to connect with you on Twitter and on LinkedIn, and Facebook is katrina.pollard. And one of my blocks, which I was talking a little bit about before, is I hated doing video. I still kind of don't like doing video, but last month I realized I had a block around doing video, so I challenged myself to do a video every single day, which I did, and that's on my YouTube channel, Katrina Pollard. So now I'm a little bit more comfortable with video. So we're all learning and we're all facing blocks, no matter what stage we are in our career. So connect with me. I'd love to hear from you. And finally, some questions.
All right, thank you so much for such an informative presentation. I know that social media can get extremely confusing at times, and I really feel that this has brought a lot of clarity to our listeners who may be struggling. So I have read Katrina's book, From Unknown to Expert, and I really do highly recommend it. Even for somebody who's been doing social media for many years, such as myself, there was a lot of information that I gained from it and have implemented already. So highly recommend
that's fantastic.
Yeah,
I love to hear that you've implemented it. That's brilliant.
Oh, thank you. So I've just got a couple of questions. Could you tell us about how you personally moved from unknown to expert?
Oh, yes. I started my business. I had absolutely nothing. I borrowed a computer. I had no clients. I was in the sunroom of a rented apartment, and I was sitting there going, okay, awesome. What do I do? How do I build this? And I have spent my career putting other people in the spotlight. That's what I do as a PR person. And I realized that I actually needed to turn the spotlight on myself. And I realized that I really needed to own it and stand in my power. And it was a struggle for me to be able to deal with some self-limiting beliefs around, do I know enough? Am I really an expert? There's so many more other people who know more than me. I don't know whether I can really talk to the media about PR. So I had to go through a lot of kind of soul-searching and work in terms of going, yeah, you know what? I actually do know enough, and it's not about me. It's about sharing amazing content that helps other people. So my journey has been, almost a 10-year journey, but I really started about 4 years ago. So it's so achievable moving from relatively unknown to a recognized expert in a short period of time. And the result of that is, a massively increased profile. Work just comes through my door. I have the opportunity to meet amazing, amazing people. So it's been quite a journey, and so I can speak to it from sitting there with absolutely nothing to working really hard and building it, and that's what my book is all about.
Yeah. So in your book, you talk about you refer to the 5-star system. So can you explain, what is your 5-star system for moving into the spotlight?
Yes, so the 5-star system is the system that I use for myself and I've used for thousands of other people. So what it is the first star is figuring out your why. So why you want to become an expert. So obviously we're wanting to do it to build our businesses and build our profiles and get more work, but there needs to be something deeper. It needs to be more profound than that, because I think that when we do it just purely from an ego perspective or purely just because it's all about us, I think our audiences and our influencers actually know that, and it won't come across authentically, and it means that you're not making the world a better place.
Yeah.
So I do think, in fact, I was sitting next to somebody at lunch the other day, and she turned to me and went, "Oh my gosh, I've got your book, and I love it, but I can't get past star 1 because I'm still figuring out my why," because it's such a big question.
It is.
But I just do think that we are all responsible for making the world a better place, and so we can absolutely get value out of it personally, but we need to think about why. And because it can be a difficult process, when we really figure out our why and we stick it up on Post-it notes and around our computers and stuff, when we're facing those blocks, when we're getting that challenge, when we're doing that first media interview and we're freaking out, we can go, you know what? I'm doing this because I'm contributing, or I'm doing this because I'm facing some fears, or I'm doing this for whatever reason that you choose. The next star is setting the stage. So it's really you've got to do a whole bunch of foundation work. Figuring out what your personal brand is, what your elevator statement is, writing all of your bios, your long bio, your short bio, your micro bios, and figuring out who your audiences are, who the people who are going to influence your brand. Once you've done that work, you can start turning on the spotlight, which is star 3. So I really recommend everybody has a personal website or a personal blog, because that's where you can control all your messages and people can find you easily. Start guest blogging, really start thinking about getting out there in real life and doing some speaking. Using the to shine the light. So this is your messages, and you creating connections and writing media releases and doing media angles and following up with the media and getting some media coverage. So that's where you're really starting to build your role as an expert. And finally, star 5 is owning the light. And this is where we now can be our own media broadcasters. So we can have direct relationships with the people who will influence our brand and help us build our businesses. Media platforms work for you. And so that's the 5-star system.
Excellent. And so for people who are just starting out or wanting to revamp or whatever, where do you start when building your profile?
So I think the first place to start is obviously the why, but I think it's really, really critical that you do personal branding. So we often think about brands as companies have brands. So, Nike, just do it, or Optus is the Yes brand. So we have we know that companies have brands, and we go, well, it's kind of a little bit egotistical if we have our own personal brand, but it's actually not. It's a really critical work that you do up front. Right at the very beginning, because people need to understand why they want to have connections with you. You need to enable people to be able to share things about you so that their contacts can do business with you. So it's really thinking about who you are, what you stand for, and why people should know you.
Yeah, excellent advice. So what are your 5 must-dos and don'ts to become an influencer and a recognised expert? So
I think you really do need to take action. The first thing is just do it. Really go. I've spoken to so many people that say, yes, I know, I really need to build my profile. But, I don't know, I just didn't do this, or I'll do it, next week. So it's really actually making the decision to do it is the most critical thing. Make the decision to do it and then do it. The next is to really, as I said before, think about what your personal brand is and write your elevator statement so you're giving people the words to be able to describe who you are. The next is networking. So networking is the absolute critical thing that I did when I grew my business. At the beginning, I didn't go out and do media. It took me a long time to actually get to that point where I wanted to step in the spotlight. But I can tell you, for years and years and years, I religiously went networking and used that personal branding and that elevator statement and creating connections with people and connecting other people. And that absolutely was the foundation of my business, but also the foundation of building my role as an expert.
Yeah.
The fourth is use the media. I know doing media interviews can be really scary, and I know it can be something that you just go, I don't even know what I'm going to pitch to the media. It's just like this whole other kind of galaxy, I guess, for a lot of people. But journalists want to hear your stories. They have to write articles every single day. So if you do the work and you come up with ideas, it absolutely makes a massive difference to your profile as an expert by using the media. And the last one is to take action. So without action, nothing changes. So right throughout the book, I talk, like right throughout the book, it's all about taking action. And just every single day, what am I going to do today? It is actually about taking action and moving into that spotlight, so that at some point you're going to get to that point where you realize you're a bright, shining star, and you just you're there, and then you keep on going, you keep on tweeting, you keep on blogging, and you're truly known as an expert.
Yeah, all excellent advice. So, Katrina, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time out to talk to us today. I feel truly honoured, and we really, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for asking me. I really, really loved it. So thank you.
You're welcome. So once again, the book is called From Unknown to Expert. We will have the link on where you can purchase the book on our website. So pop over to dynamicbusinesswomen.com and make sure you check it out. So Katrina, thank you very much.
Thank you.